Hello, everyone. Welcome to SideQuest. I'm your co-host Sneha,
And I'm Jamie.
and today we are going to talk about how it is to build your business on the side while working full time. As you all know, this means that we are going to live in two different worlds. One is neat and salaried, whereas other is messy but hopeful. Today, we are going to explore the awkward balancing act of juggling between employee life and betting on ourselves. So, welcome to episode 2, Payslips and Possibilities.
Hello, everyone. We'll just start off on the first obvious topic off that, and that's going to be expectations versus reality. So, for you, what expectations did you have of running a business together alongside having a main job? And in reality, what were the differences for you?
When I first thought about starting a business, obviously I was quite nervous because I'm starting a business not just by myself or someone else, but with my husband, my partner, with whom I actually live 24/7. And not just that, we work remote. So that's there. So there was a bit of a nervousness on that aspect. I also thought that it is going to be a bit hectic because at the end of the day, you're accountable for your role that pays your bill, that gives you a salary at the end of the month. And then you're trying to start something on your own and you want it to grow as well. Having done this before, obviously I was nervous. I knew that it's not going to be easy. Sometimes I do feel that I have chewed more than I could actually swallow, kind of a thing, if I may say so. I know that there are a lot many innuendos related to it. So without those, I really mean it. Because what it actually feels is you have so much to deliver on your job, but you equally have to deliver if you want to move away from being a salaried person and grow yourself. We obviously have reached a point in our careers that there is only so much your salary can grow in the next 5 years. And the only way you can financially grow is if you own something and flourish on it. But it is hectic. It is more than having two jobs because you are doing job of many people in your own business, trying to get promoted in your full-time job, if that makes sense. So that's what I feel. It is a lot to take in and it's not easy. But hey, we are in this together.
Yes, we are in this together.
Yeah. What did you feel? Do you feel, because this is your first time actually owning a business, you're the first time entrepreneur, and you also have a highly demanding job given the kind of clients you have and projects that you handle, which are massive. So what do you feel?
So, my initial kind of concerns really were around the practicalities of it all and how I'd fit it all in. And when I say fit it in, what I mean is do things properly and not just, oh, I've got a quick 5 minutes, I'll do it then. And then there's also the balance of having a life outside of that. Another concern was obviously how this would affect our relationship, if at all. But it was an unknown, wasn't it? But I think at the moment we've got a fairly good balance now. We obviously have to keep working on it. That's the same for any type of relationship, whether it's a straight business partner or husband and wife or friends who are working together. There's no difference there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing really was fitting everything in at the right time. So, for example, one aspect of it is social media, which predominantly I cover with my unique sense of humour at times. And it's a bit trial and error because we need to find out where we sit and what pulls viewers in and directs people across to the shop. So that's obviously kind of one aspect of getting that right. The other things are lots of data admin in the background of the website and the stock and all the shipping and all this stuff. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's difficult work, it's just time consuming when it all builds up, and then throw in all your other things that you do with your main job. And suddenly it's quite late at night in an evening, which we've found, haven't we, sometimes when we've been like, oh, it's 9 p.m, we should probably have dinner.
Yes. Is there any role that you're doing that you already feel it's harder than your day job?
Perfectly honestly, talking in front of a camera. This is not my strong point, but I will do my best and try not to make a fool of myself. But I can't promise that one. But no, it's jokes aside, sitting in front of a camera doing this when we're in the same house on paper just sounds silly, when we could just be sitting in the room talking to each other. But we did try that and it didn't work, so we're trying this instead.
What do you
Sorry.
mean it didn't work? Like talking to each other didn't work, or
No, not talking to each other. That was fine. It was one of the things is that if we're sitting in the room looking at each other, we start giggling.
true?
So we had to move. We had to move rooms. Well, I had to move. The other thing was just the actual practicality of it, is that all my equipment's in the one office, yours is in the other office, and we don't need a repeat of the keyboard issue again for those listening, for those repeat listeners. Um, so, yeah, it was the practicalities and what would happen if my attention was required at both at the same time. Luckily, because we have planned and we do make time, hasn't been an issue yet, but we both know it's going to come up at some point.
100%, because even shooting this episode, planning for this, it took us a week longer than we actually expected after our first episode because of all the logistics that we had to manage in our day job. And for me, that is what I find harder now when I'm doing my own thing, is because there is no set time and there is a responsibility riding on our shoulders to deliver it without missing a beat, without telling that, hey, today is my sick day. As I said before, and I think I'm going to say this till the end of time, is one thing that I find hardest of owning business is playing the algorithm games and running a social media account. It is just nerve-wracking to me. It is just what you do after you create this content to promote this, to create clips and put it out in social media. The role that every day makes me feel that I'm not qualified to do. And I don't know how social media managers out there, the producers, the digital media experts do it. Like, hats off to them.
It's probably a reason why most social media managers aren't normally on the actual social media posts. You know, those jokes about, where's admin today?
No, not just that. Like, it's also not very well paid at the same time when you look at the job descriptions and the salary band that they get into. But I think they should. I know, like, many things we think is replaced by machine or AI, but there's only so much AI can do, right? So yeah, that is one thing that intimidates me every day. I already feel it harder than any role that I do in my day job. That's social media management.
Do you find any of the jobs we do for the business itself quite repetitive at the moment?
Since when we divided the work, we decided that I'm going to look after the creative side and the vendor side. And you decided, like, you're good at operations anyway and people management. And you have a great sense of humor when it comes to TikTok. So you decided to do that. Whenever I have to do like posting every day or scheduling every day in YouTube, because we handle 2 different accounts, I find it absolutely repetitive, which means the moment our business can afford a social media manager, I may pitch that idea to you that, hey, can we get someone to do this instead? That's how I feel.
Well, we won't record that, mate. We're a podcast.
No, I think people should know.
Yeah.
Also feel that social media managers are really undervalued and they should actually feel like they do a lot. They take a lot of people like me who are intimidated by it.
Do you say that you stay motivated during the day, during the week, when work, the regular job, starts ramping up?
You know, I think it's all about mindset shift, right? Like, in one place, you are used to have a job and kind of a roadmap of your delivery. Especially, I work in product marketing, so I know which team needs what I need to actually deliver, how the go-to-market is going to look like. And when I say that, it's easier to plan for someone else because we have set budgets, we have set targets. We already have people who are separately working for clients and pipeline. And when I think of that, it's very hard to motivate myself. And I'm also, in a way, like, every time I come to you, I think once every evening and ask you, do you think we are going to grow? Do you think this is going to work? Because I think in a very physics terms, to every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. I'm putting in effort. I am promoting this. I'm working on this. These are the hours that I have put in. Where are the results? Why are there no results? Why am I not seeing the growth? Or why the sales is not equivalent to the effort? It's hard to stay motivated all the time. And this is when you also start realizing how much or government, policies, environment, the place you're in actually impacts you and your business, and you start becoming much more cautious to what you hear in the news, right? The best way to stay motivated is to have a partner who is much more optimistic than you yourself are. In this case is you, because I come to you and I ask you that question, that do you think we're going to grow? Do you think this is going to work? And you're the one who says, hey, we just started a month back, and give it a time, give it a breathing space. And I'm like, okay. And I just, make a mental note that I'm going to ask him the same question tomorrow. So I'll give it 24 hours again. That's why I think you need to have a partner in your business. They take that load of that pessimism and give you a little bit of their optimism as well. So what about you? Because I know you don't ask me question about, is it going to work? I'm the one who asks. So who do you ask to? Who is it, Jeremy?
Who do I ask? Well, my inner monologue, probably. Look, I mean, in the cold light of day, I think everyone who's even thought about running their own business or has, successful or not, you've got to be consistent, and you'll probably get nothing for a long time, but you've just got to be consistent and sit through it. It's the same like advertising. You're not going to get something off your first advert unless you're very special. But it's just, being consistent, and also just know that it will take time. There's not a pill that's going to suddenly make it all work the following morning, unless you're a celebrity or somebody else along those lines. It's a new business. Financially, we are secure. We certainly we're not a multi-million pound company by any stretch of the imagination. One day, people, crossing my fingers for those listening. But it's just one of those things. It's like, and this sounds a bit corny, but because I do a lot of cycle training in terms of just fitness, especially being older as well, you have to plan over weeks and months to get to a certain point, and it can feel quite a long time at times, and progress can feel slow. But then you have a rest week, and then you come back, and then suddenly you've seen these massive improvements. So, it's just one of those things. And also there's an element of luck. You can have the best products in the world, greatest marketing campaign, could just be the wrong time. So
every time we talk about luck, what I feel is the kind of luck I have, if I do 100% guaranteed win scratch card, like win at least £1, if I scratch it, it will charge me £5. Like, you owe us £5. That's my luck. So it is always hard work dependent, but I also don't have that patience to wait sometimes. Given my 200%, I do run out of patience after one point. Like, it is not immediately, it is not tomorrow. My brain starts going, this is the effort I have applied. So where I have to start seeing some kind of changes. Why is there no change? And it cannot rationalize that. And it's so difficult for me to make it understand. Like, when, just like you just said, that you need to wait it out. So we have a different kind of an approach. And on that note, I want to ask you, out of two of us, who is the organized one who actually has things organized, and who is the disorganized one? There is no straight answer to it, because we are organized and disorganized in different ways. But I want to hear from you where you have seen that happen.
I think naturally I do kind of prefer the slightly chaotic, unplanned bits. Just because I find them more exciting, but obviously that needs to be underpinned by a foundation, which is just being organised. Because otherwise you're scrambling around, and to be perfectly frank, if we weren't organised, we wouldn't be able to have a full-time job each and do this at the same time and sleep, Again, it's back to the expectation versus reality, and it's like, we still need to have time for each other in a personal way, like, because that's important. Because otherwise, if that isn't there, then that'll drift into our full-time jobs, because we don't just want to end up being business partners who live in the same house, for choice of a better example. It's difficult, and we do need to organise a lot, and we do. But it is quite funny, because I would say you're the more organised person overall than me. But when it comes to the business, because you're more down the creative side, it's slightly not as organised, because you've got to be in the right frame of mood to start doing your creations effectively, haven't you? Because if you, and I've seen it as well, if you try and force something, you end up just sitting there staring at a blank page.
That's That's true, but it is on the creative side. When we divide two pages, for my page, everything is scheduled. It goes out in a proper time, proper place. It is researched and everything, and you're just thinking about the moment and creating some really funny TikTok videos, which I kind of admire because I cannot come out and do funny videos on a whim and shoot them. But I definitely feel that when it comes to doing things or executing, I'm much more organized. However, when it comes to operational things, you are much more organized. Like, for example, you made a list of SKUs and our product and our stock in a couple of days, got it sorted, sent it out to all the vendors, rather than me, because I was sitting on it and I was just saying we need to do this, and I was not getting started because I was like, how do I get started on this? And I also have habit of thinking everything is important, and obviously it doesn't work. So yeah, that's what I feel like. From where I am sitting, I feel that you're perfectly organized when it comes to operational side, and I would love to learn that. But I also feel that there are certain things that I'm way better organized than you are.
Yeah, I mean, even the podcast thing, I'm happy to say about it. I mean, I've got a spreadsheet that you gave me today, which is covering what we're doing over the next 10 episodes. So, and it's in full detail, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of information. But no, it's good because it just shows that we do complement each other.
You just can't do the business with same kind of skill set. You need diversified skill set, especially if you're partnering with someone. Since you're my co-founder, co-host, everything if we are very much alike in skill set, we will get everything done that's in my list, but nothing done that is supposed to get done. And since we are complementary, we get things done. I think that's where the value of having complementary skill sets come into play.
Yeah, and I would also I think because of my work history as well, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, I do think that I'm quite versatile when it comes to doing different aspects of work. And that probably stems from being in hospitality for a long time because you don't have departments, it's you and a small team. I think that helped when it comes to running a business because it's just like I don't have this mindset of I'm just doing this. But yeah, so.
Given your work experience, one thing that is really worth learning from you is how you manage crisis, problem, and people. The way you deal with any kind of projects, your project management skills are amazing. I have seen that even in your 9 to 5 job, how you actually manage people, how you manage multiple multi-million-dollar projects, and how you get them done, executed in different parts of not just the country, but world. That is admirable. And that is one thing that hopefully we will reach with our studio in that place where we manage multiple countries and multiple places. That is definitely something that I admire.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you. So, in terms of a summary of how we feel of expectation versus reality, it's the same but different.
I think we are learning to admire each other and see the part of ourselves that the other person admires or other person thinks that it needs improving as well. It's a constant improvement. There is a mindset shift as well. Instead of being just one person doing one role, now you have to deal with everything all at once. And how we actually deal with it, how we deal with algorithm, banks, dramatic version of ourselves after 9 p.m. when the post doesn't get through or gets flagged, or the sales are not as much as we expected it to be, so on and so forth. We have seen that mindset shift happen and learn from that as well, even though it has been just a month and a half of when we started doing it. But mindset is one thing. Money has a way of making all of whatever we are talking about it right now impractical as well. Because you can have big dreams, but if you can't fund it, if you can't put proper financials in right place, it's useless. It's that we still have full-time job and a business.
Short version, security, essentially, isn't it? The world is becoming an ever increasingly expensive place, and we're not going to go into the politics of that here. So, everyone has bills and they're increasing for everyone, and we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where when we want to retire, that we can't afford it. Who knows what's going to happen with pensions and everything else? So it's the long-term security. That's why we both have jobs. It also enables us to invest money into the business, and whether that be marketing campaigns, whether that be researching new products, anything really. It's there's a lot of, as anyone knows, there's a lot of failures when running your own business and very few successes, and failures tend to be expensive. We've had product ranges that, whether it was we couldn't find a quality supplier at the right price, or we just got the product and just went, I don't really think anyone's going to buy this. Like when we got it in our hand, the idea was great, but those oversaturated kind of areas, it was like, it's not really worth the investment. But yeah, no, I mean, ultimately it is coming down to being able to pay bills, and we do what we can to invest that money that we do have into the business to ensure that it's a success.
Yeah. Just running a Shopify shop, when you actually get the CRM behind it, you are paying for each component that's behind a website, right? Or even in TikTok, you are promoting yourselves. You're trying to reach out for collaboration and partnership, and everything costs money. And when you look at the end of the month to the invoices, that's when I feel that how would I actually take it off if I didn't have a job? How would I be able to fund my trials and errors or buying a sample? Because right now I can think about, hey, maybe I can order this sample and see how this product actually looks before producing in mass or in scale. I think it gives me that wriggle room or that breathing space to run the business that otherwise would not actually be possible. I am terrified to look at all the invoices and how much they are going to amount to, the expenses we have had, because 20 pounds here and 10 pounds there doesn't seem much. But when you look at the whole year, and we have been prepping for this since last 6 months, so there are many expenses that has not even been put into one proper sheet. And when it goes out, when you see how the taxes work and your expenses and your bottom line, I am really terrified.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons that we haven't claimed all the expenses is because we don't want to put that debt on the company. And let's be honest, like things when we've been out and taking some, shop owner the other week out for lunch or a coffee. Technically that is a business expense, but there's really, in reality at this stage, there's no point in adding that to the account. Well, I mean, I don't think there is. At this point, again, there's no point at this stage because you're not really achieving anything. You've got enough coming through the business as it is. Just keep it this level. We'll reassess in the new year.
Yeah.
Kind of how it is at the moment. But yeah, no, money's always a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you need it to earn it. That's not the actual saying I was thinking of, but that's what came out.
Your relationship with money is also very cultural. How you actually see the investment and finances is much more cultural. I am originally from Nepal, and the way we talk about money is completely different. It's free flowing in a sense that you have many of your friends and family pitching in, helping you out. And sometimes, since we are also from an economy where our exchange rate is 200 for £1, it also means a lot. So there is a part of me that always calculates everything that we have invested in Nepali currency. I already feel that, oh my God, I have already invested 200,000 Nepali rupees into this business. I earn in pounds, I spend in pounds, but I cannot shake that Nepali inside me who is panicking, looking at the number of zeros behind that exchange rate. And that feels terrifying. However, there is also a side of me that has a pressure to succeed, because at the end of the day, I am an Asian. And for us, there is no other options than getting A+ in everything you touch and do. Either it be your grades or be your job, you have to excel at everything. And that's a lot of pressure to show the value that, hey, I'm doing something really valuable. Running your own business, especially with cute things, people already don't take you seriously because they think that you're just drawing and selling your posters like a kid. So to show a value that you're serious into business, you're doing something really serious and there is a value behind it, that's the biggest cultural challenge in me, because there's always a critical Nepali person inside me criticizing everything that I do in this business. However, I have seen that it's completely different when it comes to Brits, which is you. How your relationship with money, your relationship with business, it's completely different. So would you care to elaborate? Like,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I do, however, think that over the past, I can't, there was slightly off topic, there was a bank started doing marketing campaigns about teaching young people how to sort their money out. A famous person that talks about money has probably run some courses and encouraged schools to teach as well. So there is a cultural shift on that front, which I think is good. I would say we're quite far behind than other places in the world. But when I was growing up, and this will show my age, I still remember when £1 would get you like 2.5 American dollars, and going to America was cheaper than shopping in London. You know, but obviously different times. As you know, and the listeners are about to find out, I didn't particularly thrive in school, not for any lack of ability, just because I didn't really like the way lessons were taught. And I know a lot of my friends and a lot of people feel the same way, and they've actually learned a lot more in their early adulthood, and they've moved on a lot further. But no, in terms of speaking about money, yeah, it was always a bit of a faux pas. To say it's like an embarrassing uncle was probably a fair reflection of how it was back when I was growing up.
I want to ask you, like, how does your family think about you owning a business? Because for me, like I said, I have immense pressure to succeed. It's not like my mom or my grand actively pressurize me that, hey, you need to succeed, but they have very high expectations, right? So on that regards, what do you think? Like, how does your family perceive owning a business?
Very supportive. You know, they want us to do well. You know, they help with sharing posts and pushing the website and the products and stuff like that, which is always really, really good because you need family on board. I do have some quite good conversations with my dad sometimes about it where he gets down into the detail of stuff and it's like, no, I understand, Dad. Yes, I do need to think about that. Thank you for reminding me. I've just come over for a cup of tea. So, yeah, they definitely are involved and they do give their opinion, which is good. And they don't pull any punches when giving constructive feedback. So, yeah, I think overall they're proud. I think they're obviously a little bit nervous is probably the wrong word because obviously we're making a financial commitment. More wary is probably a better statement. How much will we put in it? Will we get something back? When will we get something back? Exactly, probably the same mindset as you when it comes to I've put this effort in, where is my result? So again, I just tell them patience. These things take time.
Right now, we invest. So whatever comes into our account together, we pay our mortgages, pay our bills, and whatever the savings that we are supposed to have, it ends up going to the business. And I'm so not used to seeing the savings account window. You have to have your own safety net and a kind of a money. And for me, being in this country, I'm so used to have that saving account and that safety net built for myself. And when I don't see it growing, I go into mild panic. I'm like, what am I doing? Do I really need to do this? Do I really need to put myself through all this stress where I see my savings being depleted every week and every month? I think it is to do being told from very day one when I was growing up that, hey, you need to do it for yourself. You need to build your safety net. You know, you need to have that cushion of savings around you. And I think like many Asian people are going to agree with it. I have seen a little bit of a difference here, and I might be wrong.
Just going back to the point you just made first. So, just for the listeners, is it more of a case of are pensions a thing over in Nepal and other parts of Asia?
One thing in Nepal they would want you to do is maybe hold on to government jobs because they are much more secure. You will have a safety net of your income. Second thing, and you will see this in most Asian households and Asian children, is they will push their children to be doctors or engineers because no matter where you land up, you'd always get a job. You can always use your education as a doctor and be of service to people while generating a decent income for yourself, right? So it is seen as one of the most secure job that is there. And also, it's not easy to be doctors or engineers. So your parents are going to go and say, hey, my child is doctor, A+ student. You know, that factor is also there. I think in Asia, even in Nepal, the social security, you can save, you get a better return for your pensions and everything, but there is no such thing as NHS. You cannot go to a hospital and expect for free, though health is much more cheaper than compared to the Western world. And there are some quality as well, because the eye treatments are much more better, dental treatments are much more better, but they're expensive. You have to earn to keep up and to look after yourselves. So it's always good to have that safety net around you and consciously put into your pension. Only the weird thing that I find about UK is you're taxed heavily on your pension when you want to take it out. And why you want people to save for pension on their salaries when you're going to tax them anyway?
Yeah, well, I mean, you are talking to someone who's from a country where we used to have a window tax because that was a sign of wealth, which, to be fair, it was back in the day, but I digress. Yeah, I think, again, without trying to go too much into politics, it was at the time of when I was growing up. I was still on the tail end of that. Work hard, buy an affordable house. That value will go up on the house. At the same time, the government will give you a pension. And then when you get to a certain level of earnings, you can start your own private pension as well to sort of supplement that. So you'll always be fine. Like, you know, and then when you get older, depending on what your savings situation is like, you can either sell your house and downsize, or keep the big house and hopefully you've got enough savings to keep the running of it. And then you regularly get your pension. But obviously over the years and years and years, the pension pot for everyone hasn't increased with the costs of the world. Yeah, what we were sold as young teenagers and everything else is no longer there. So going into situations like this where you're running your own business and stuff like that is probably much more reliable source of income and long-term savings than sticking something in a ISA, especially at the moment with some of the recent announcements. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that, really.
So are you proud to introduce yourself as a business owner as of yet? At what stage we are in? Because if we go to your LinkedIn and check, you finally have Ideas in Pixels and Laughing Lucky up. We are still at a very nascent early phase in our businesses. What do you feel?
I am proud to, but it still feels a bit like I'm pretending. I've forgotten the term. What is the term where you're not fake until you make it? I can't remember the term. Sorry, it's gone.
Playing pretend entrepreneur.
Yeah, something along those lines. Somebody in the comments say something. So, well, it doesn't sound like I go, hello, I'm the owner of this. I trying to convince myself sometimes. But funny story, when I did add the Ideas in Pixel and Laughing Larky to my LinkedIn, for some reason, everyone thought I'd quit my own job. And I got lots of congratulations. And then messages going, you can't leave. And I was like, I haven't, which was quite funny. But nonetheless, it was nice to know that some people panicked when they thought I was leaving the company. But no, I'm very proud of it. But obviously it's not something that I would say, when I say it out loud, I don't feel 100% comfortable saying it. Not like in a negative way, it's getting used to saying it and being comfortable with the position that we're in. But on the flip side, I am very proud of the brand and the products.
In a lot of effort to find the vendors and source them and sample them. So it feels nice to be validated on a podcast.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you keep a happy marriage and business partner. Next week, divorce. So yeah, moving on to our next section. So kind of when we started out this, like in the early stages, what did you think actually turned out to be relatively quite a small thing? But at the time it was like, yes, we've done this, it's great. But as we've gone on, you're like, that's just a daily occurrence now.
It's related to Ideas in Pixel. When I started getting booked for meetings with the small startups and also with the professionals for mentoring them, initially I thought that, wow, this is a big deal. But around 70 to 80% of people think that since now you have just started your business, you're going to do things for free for them. And that was kind of a letdown. I would not say it was a small thing or daily occurrence, but people thinking that your effort, especially when you're qualified, especially when you have really achieved something in your industry, and then you're mentoring people, helping startups grow, so on and so forth. When people take it for granted and want to use your frameworks for free or want to use your time for free, and the carrot they dangle is the carrot anyone would dangle for someone who is just starting in their career as an intern or in entry level, like, hey, you're getting an experience. I already have 16 years of experience. You're wasting 30 minutes of my time just because you want something free of me, which you obviously see the value, but you're not willing to pay to me because you feel that you can get away with it. And that's why I have cut down on the number of meetings people want to have with me. And I have, as you have seen, cut down on how I evaluate the pipeline as well. That was the biggest thing for Ideas and Pixel, because I consult as a product marketer. For Laughing Lucky, the biggest achievement I felt at that time was getting website up. Because as I told you, I felt I will have website up and suddenly there will be flurry of sales. I thought it was a very big achievement, but it is just one of those things, one of the first steps you have to take when you're building your business anyway, right? So yeah, that was the biggest learning for me, that we are just getting started.
Back to like the early stages, what did you kind of initially find that you missed about not just being an employee but a business owner?
I think one thing that I actually miss about being employed, which I have in my job, is predictability. It's the predictability of the sales pipeline. It's the predictability of the growth. It's the predictability of what's to come next. When you're doing your business and when you have so limited data set because you have just started, you don't know how December is going to be different from January and by how much. When you don't understand if February is going to be your massive month or Easter, you don't have that data set to give you any kind of projection or predictability. And that for me is something that is so small, because I think, like, I'm pretty sure by next year we will have much better projection about our year than we have this year. But I miss that predictability, how much you can expect from that effort. That is what I miss. What about you?
In terms of a win that now doesn't seem like much of a big win, was probably getting all the SKUs assigned, which, as anyone who knows who's done them, is such a fun and enjoyable task. Yeah, once that got done, well, to be fair, once the framework of what we wanted, well, what I wanted got done, and you double checked it so that you were like, yeah, that works. It was actually not too bad, but it was getting to that point because you could just go SKU 001, carry on. Technically, that's scalable. Is it organized when you have more and more products? No. So it's finding something that will eventually be scalable with what you are trying to do. And I'm quite happy with it. And we can look at an SKU code and go, I know what that is. So, which is kind of the point. Things I think that I would miss by being an employee, that I probably miss as a business owner. I suppose, yeah, back to predictability, like you said, it's more, you've got guaranteed income. It's that security. Even though we know for a while at the moment the job world is not secure. The other thing is that it can be a bit easier to upskill when you work for a big company without the risk involved. So say if I wanted to go do a course in something, I could go to my employer and go, by the way, here's a business case. I want to do this course. Will you help fund some of it? Etc., etc. You know, so you can get courses for cheaper and upskill. Whereas obviously if we're doing it, it's on us. And that money is then taken away from the business itself, even though, granted, you could argue we are investing it straight back into the business. But if we need products, if we need to do something along those lines, or we rather, it's a choice, isn't it? You come down to training, or do we have a new product line?
I think the aspect of limited growth, if we are able to take it off, and if this business works, the sky is literally a limit. And by sky, someone's sky might be 20K, someone's sky might be 100K, and you set that target and you achieve it. In salaried job, especially in the UK, what I have seen is after you reach a certain threshold, you either have to look for a job that is US based or somewhere else, or you start doing many contract jobs if you want to beat that threshold and move away from it. You start reaching saturation point where there is that ceiling where getting a job opportunity more than a certain salary bracket start becoming impossible and more crowded for the number of opportunities that they are. And once you reach that director, senior director role, that saturation is right up your face. So I would definitely not miss that. I would also not miss having to work with terrible bosses. I luckily have a really good boss, but I also feel your growth is so much dependent on your bosses and who you report to. And if someone is not qualified to be a people's manager, you end up not just managing downwards, which is your own team, but also you have to manage your own manager, manage upwards. And that's a lot to take for a person. That is another thing that I would definitely not miss. And that's what actually motivated me and we had that discussion that, hey, let's start something of our own.
Yeah, I would say, and I do agree with your current bosses are great. They really are. I do hear the odd conversation just because I live in the same house, but the way they do speak to each other and, involve you and stuff like that, it's actually quite refreshing because you don't see that very often these days.
What will you not miss about your current job? And what is that small thing that you thought was very small and now you think back and you feel like, oh, this is a big achievement for our business?
What I wouldn't miss about being an employee is internal politics
Yeah.
and red tape. I do enjoy working with the company I do, but it's done a lot of acquisitions over the past few years, and with a lot of acquisitions of other companies, it's just, at the moment, it's just trying to find everything in its right place. And these things do take time in massive companies, but not every department's aligned, so you've got to jump through a lot of hoops to get things done. And this isn't a unique story to us. It's quite common. But it's just one of those things. It's just one of the things I wouldn't miss. Because I do like things to be more of a straight line than a zigzag. But it is different. In terms of what I thought was quite small and was a big win now, in terms of the business, I'd probably say it was getting the social media pages set up properly and synced. At the time, it just felt like an absolute pain. And if you've done it and it's worked for you first time, congratulations. Because as my darling wife will tell you, we did everything properly and then randomly it started unsyncing and then a week later worked again. We spoke to support at the time and they gave some responses and they said they didn't do anything, but it suddenly all started working again. But getting that set up was an absolutely massive thing, really, in the grand scheme of things, because I only have to update one space. I haven't got to manage multiple inventories, which was something I was a bit concerned about at the start. So thank you, Shopify. Not sponsored, by the way, but thank you. And you can sponsor us. It's very kind of you.
On that note, how do you feel working with your spouse?
Fantastic. It's the best thing ever. On a serious note, no, it is great. We did sit down at the start of this and put some very clear lines in because we had to. It's the only way you can do it. We both work at home, both work remotely. We both got a business together, so we're around each other a lot. Yeah, we put some very clear lines in and cut-offs to when we talk about certain things and stuff just because we had to, didn't we? Just because it was healthy. No, overall, it's good. It is actually genuinely really good. It's exciting. And the other good thing is because you are my partner, it's that whatever we do with the business, it's for us and it's for our future.
Yeah.
So it's not going to somebody else. Even if we get bigger and when we start hiring people, in the end of the day, it's getting to a point where it either enables us just to retire early or we just keep building it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's great. We do gel quite well together. We do disagree. I think there's no getting around that. If we agreed on everything, we never get anywhere. So it's healthy from that point of view. Car journeys are now business meetings. I will say that much because it's one of the few times you can get us both together where we've not got a million things going on. But no, yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's exciting, and there are nerves around it. But we have to be disciplined in terms of we have actual meetings booked in. Yes.
Just to tell the audience that car meetings are mostly me asking to Jamie, do you think it's going to work? And he rolling his eyes and, sighing and telling me that, of course it is. Give it time. So 90% of time, I keep on repeating the same question, and he keeps on giving me the same answer. And that's what our business meeting looks like. And he also promised me that if we are able to get 1,000 followers, I'll get something of my choosing, which I want to keep it a secret. But
not a competition. We're in this together.
It is.
Unless I'm winning. Anyway, so what do I get when I get 1,000 followers?
You get a big hug and a thank you.
That could have been worse. How about you? How do you find it working with me and my continuous ramblings?
Okay. Being very truthful, there are moments, and quite a lot of moments, that I'm so proud of how you handle things, how you do things, I'm also really proud. You can hear it in my voice. I'm getting emotional. I also feel it really good that how quickly you catch up. There are times, and being me and because of our different work style, I do get annoyed because, as we said early on, I'm the organized one and you're the one who is just doing it then and there. So I'm like, Jamie, have we scheduled a post? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it in 5 minutes. You already are losing 5 minutes. What's happening? I would not say annoying person, but I'm also much more organized in terms of getting the delivery done. I already told you I'm traumatized by social media, but I also think that that's the only vehicle we have in today's day and age for us to promote ourselves. But when it comes to operational side, I do feel that I'm in good hands. I do feel supported. We always shared our burdens and helped each other out. And I feel we are doing the right thing even with the business as well. It is a shared load and we both feel responsible towards it. I also feel you poop on my parade at times because I want to grow and I want to buy a printer and I want to build this and that. And he is correct to hold me back because we are still in growing phase. But me being a creative mind, I have already built castle in that cloud and he makes that cloud rain. And I feel so sad. I'm like, I already had this mass production ready, and I had already done this in my head. It's very correct of you to bring me back to reality, but it's also sad at times. So that is where I feel a bit sad about working with my partner because you're the one person I share my dreams with. And you're the one who actually drags me back to the reality. Sometimes you just want to dream, and sometimes you just want the other person to agree with you and say that instead of 200 million or 2 million, why don't you look at 4 million? That's what I would say. That I feel safe and secured when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our relationship. But when it comes to our dreams and hopes, I don't feel happy and safe.
So imagine the situation. If I just agreed to you to buy something for the business with no argument, would you just would you go ahead and straightly buy it? Or would you be like, something's going on, I don't like this?
I actually don't buy things until and unless I know that you're 100% sure and I know that you're not just agreeing with me kind of thing. I don't think I have it in me to overstep because it's a joint decision at the end of the day. Only thing that I may actually get without asking you is emotional support business animals.
Yeah, that's happened before, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell that story now that we're on it. So, when we were first living, the people are going to hear this now. You brought it up. You can sit there laughing. So, I wake up one morning. This was after we first started living with each other, and you were still asleep at the time. Sleep, in inverted commas, for those listening. I then came back upstairs to go back into bed just to sit and drink my coffee. And all I heard was a little voice going, "Have you looked at your phone yet?" And I went, "No, what's happened?" So I looked at my phone and there was a picture of a kitten saying, "This is arriving soon."
Emotional support
Yes.
boss, our manager of emotional support, Ali.
Yeah.
She supervises everything that we do.
Yes, I know. I've been judged ever since. She loves to be in your meetings too, doesn't she?
1 to 2 hours every day. They have their Zoomies, they have their fights, especially if I'm in a very important client meeting or any important team meeting, work meeting, they have to go crazy. So yeah, that's the story. That's why they are in all of our products, Now, it's almost an hour since we have been nattering about. Let me ask you a couple of rapid fire questions and let's see where we go with it, okay? Would you like your team meetings or your car business meetings with me?
Mm,
Even when I'm asking you about, are we going to grow? Are we going to be millionaire tomorrow?
yeah, because normally in that car journey we end up having lunch. So car.
So boss's feedback or clients' feedback?
Oh, business-wise, client feedback.
Okay, great.
It's also down to the different nature of our jobs as well, to a certain extent, isn't it? So,
Yeah, true. So commute to the shops or constant thinking?
it's not easy for me because I like a commute, as in outdoor cycling.
For me, it is, I would be constantly thinking even in commute. So I would love to have a moment where I can switch off and not think about things.
For some context, it's not very quick fiery. I think in my head, obviously, when we lived at the seaside, my commute was cycling down about
Yeah.
6 miles of seaside. So in my head, that's a commute, when in reality, I know it probably isn't. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking of when I think of commute.
Yeah. And then paid leave or no break but endless possibility.
Don't know, actually. I'd rather go with possibility.
I think I will go with paid leave because I feel that even if you're an entrepreneur or not, it's very important for you to take that break because it helps you rejuvenate, if I'm pronouncing it right, and come up with better ideas. And everyone needs a break once in a while.
Have a lovely holiday.
Thank you.
I'll just pick everything up here.
Yeah. So let me ask you, as a closing round, are you or are we both of us from your lenses, entrepreneurs or simply people who have some amount to invest, some spare money to invest?
I mean, it's a mixture of both, but I would say you're definitely more entrepreneurial than me, naturally. So, yeah, I would. It's a mixture of both because you can't just be entrepreneurial and not have investment. It's not really going to work, is it? Being
I
honest.
would rephrase that question. Do you think we are entrepreneurs or just two people with spare money and a lot of free time?
Okay. I would say we're definitely entrepreneurs because it's not a hobby for us. We are taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
And we already have loose plans over the next 3, 4, 5 years on where we want to be and what we want to achieve and how we want to diversify. Even that in itself just shows it's something we're serious about and we have spent a lot of time thinking about and planning. How about you?
I definitely don't want to fall on the latter side because I have that internal pressure by myself to succeed. So if I touch something, I have to make it glow and make it succeed under any circumstances. That's a Asian and South Asian in me screaming, and critiquing, and I want to succeed, right? Big, small, it depends, but I want to succeed. So I would rather place myself as an entrepreneur and do the hard work than think that I'm wasting my money. Then again, my financial insecurities come out as well. If it were to disappear tomorrow, one thing that I'm going to miss is endless possibilities that it is going to provide or it has potential of. And that's where you can see the value of what it actually means to me.
Yeah, yeah, I can. And where you say about the pressure you put yourself under, I can see that on your face quite a lot of the time. So it's not always easy saying, no, we can't buy this yet. Because I also know it'll make you sad.
Yeah. So if the goal is real freedom for you, or it is just something that you try while keeping your day jobs intact.
No, no. In an ideal world, I would obviously like to just be my own boss. Well, us work together, as it were. Because whilst I am proud of the work that I do for the company that I work for, the benefits don't go to me. So whereas if I'm working for myself or us, those benefits go to us, whether that be financial or opportunity or whatever else. I'm a direct recipient of the efforts that I put in. So yeah. How did you feel the same about that, or did you feel slightly different?
I feel like you need to build for yourself. I feel we are approaching a time when one job is not going to be enough. One salary is not going to be enough. And we already see that in our household where we both earn decent incomes and it's not enough. That's why we are thinking about our own business. I feel that it is also a necessity at this moment. And I don't want to rely on payslips and pensions.
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of people that obviously because of just speaking about mortgage rates for a second, because of the way they went up, and they've all got good jobs and they're all in like upper middle management. They've had to get second jobs just to cover their mortgage payments. And I know one of my friends who has a mortgage. His mortgage payments went up from I think it was around £700 a month to £3,200 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that for drama. That's just what happened. And he was like, and he has a very good job, don't get me wrong, but he was like, oh, that was unexpected. So it affects people in different ways. And obviously, if you're on a lower salary and you're a single person who's got a mortgage, they haven't got much of a choice. I can imagine, unfortunately, depending on the size of the mortgage, obviously. It's the reality of it, but it wouldn't say it was fair on anyone.
Not true. And on that note, I'm also grateful for my payslip to actually providing me the possibility to do something different. With that, thank you audiences for sitting through our messy side quest between payslips and possibilities. See you next week with another topic on what we do on the side. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye.